Stop explaining yourself. Right now, pause for a second and think. How many times have you wasted your energy trying to make people understand you, trying to justify your choices, trying to defend your silence, trying to prove you were never the problem, and yet no matter how clearly you spoke, nothing changed? This is where most people fail. They believe being loud gives them power. They believe reacting makes them strong. They believe constant expression equals confidence. The Stoics believed the opposite. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still chose silence. Epictetus owned nothing yet remained unshakable. Their strength did not come from words. It came from focus and self-mastery. Here is the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you turn your attention inward, you take your power back. This video is not about ignoring people to look mysterious. It's not about ego. It's not about playing mind games. It's about survival in a noisy world. When you react emotionally, you hand control to others. When you speak too much, you reveal too much. When you chase validation, you lose respect first from yourself, then from everyone else. Stoicism teaches a dangerous skill: silence under pressure. A focused man does not announce his plans. A disciplined man does not argue with distractions. A powerful man does not explain himself to those who never listened. He builds quietly, and while others talk, complain, and react, he sharpens his mind, strengthens his body, and refines his character. This is why silence feels uncomfortable at first, because it forces you to face yourself. No applause, no validation, no excuses. Just you against your habits, your weaknesses, and your discipline. But if you stay long enough in that silence, something changes. You stop needing approval. You stop seeking reactions. You stop being controlled by external noise. And that's when people feel your absence more than your presence. So if you're tired of explaining yourself, if you're tired of reacting emotionally, if you're ready to become untouchable, then watch this till the end, because focusing on yourself and staying silent is not weakness. It's the Stoic path to real power. Every single reaction costs you something. Every argument, every explanation, every emotional response. Most people don't realize this, but the fastest way to become weak is to react to everything. You wake up already drained, not because life is hard, but because you've been spending your energy in places that never deserved it. The Stoics understood one brutal truth: your energy is limited. Marcus Aurelius warned himself not to be pulled into unnecessary conflict, not because he couldn't handle it, but because it distracted him from what actually mattered. Power, to a Stoic, was never about domination. It was about self-control. When you stay silent, you stop bleeding energy. Think about it. Arguing with someone who already decided to misunderstand you changes nothing. Explaining your intentions to people committed to twisting them only exhausts you. Defending your choices to those who never supported you drains your focus. Silence ends that cycle. Silence says, my energy is not available for this. A focused man chooses where his attention goes, and attention is life itself. Whatever you give attention to, you give power to. That's why reacting emotionally feels so heavy afterward. You didn't just speak, you invested yourself, and the return is always negative. Stoicism teaches restraint, not suppression. You still feel anger, you still feel frustration, but you don't release it recklessly. You channel it inward, into discipline, structure, and growth. Silence gives you that space. Instead of arguing, you train. Instead of explaining, you improve. Instead of reacting, you observe. And observation is strength. When you stop reacting, people lose access to your inner world. They can't provoke you. They can't control your mood. They can't feed on your attention. That's real freedom, Epictetus said. If you wish to be invincible, make sure no one can provoke you. Silence is how you do that. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming selective. Your energy should be reserved for your purpose, your body, your discipline, your inner peace, not for noise, not for drama, not for people who benefit from your reaction more than your growth. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, to argue, to react emotionally, pause. Silence is not you losing. Silence is you conserving strength. And a man who controls his energy controls his future. Pain is unavoidable, but what you do with pain, that is a choice. Most people run from it. They complain about it. They broadcast it. They turn pain into a story so others can feel sorry for them. The Stoics did the opposite. They treated pain like a weapon, something to be sharpened, not escaped. When you focus on yourself, pain stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. And silence is the classroom where that lesson is learned, because pain speaks clearly only when the noise stops. When you react emotionally, pain controls you. It pushes you into impulsive decisions, desperate explanations, and weak behavior. But when you stay silent, you take authority over it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that hardship reveals character, not comfort, not praise, not ease. Pressure shows you who you truly are. And here's the truth most people can't accept. Pain doesn't destroy men. Lack of discipline does. When something hurts you, rejection, betrayal, failure, the instinct is to speak, to defend yourself, to demand understanding, to ask, why me? Stoicism teaches a harder question. How does this make me better? Silence forces accountability. There's no audience to blame, no one to impress, just you, facing your weaknesses honestly. That's uncomfortable. That's lonely. That's powerful. When you focus inward, pain becomes fuel. You start training when others complain. You start learning when others blame. You start evolving while others repeat the same cycle. And the transformation happens quietly. No announcements, no emotional posts, no dramatic speeches, just work. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body, but only if you allow them to. When you stay silent, pain can't turn you into a victim. It has to turn you into something sharper, stronger habits, clearer boundaries, deeper discipline. And here's the irony. When you stop talking about your pain, people feel your strength more, because strength doesn't need to be declared. A focused man doesn't beg life to be easier. He becomes harder. So the next time pain enters your life, don't rush to explain it. Don't rush to express it. Don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Use it, because pain, when combined with focus and silence, doesn't break you, it forges you. Asterisk, when you stop talking, something strange happens. The noise fades, the crowd thins, and people reveal themselves without saying a word. Most relationships survive on reactions. Your attention, your explanations, your emotional availability. The moment you go silent, many of those connections collapse. And that's not a loss, that's clarity. The Stoics understood that not everyone walking beside you is meant to stay. Some people are only comfortable when they can access your emotions. When you stop reacting, they feel powerless, so they leave. Silence removes the mask. People who valued you for your presence remain calm. People who valued you for your reactions feel disturbed. People who fed on your energy feel exposed. And that's the test. Marcus Aurelius warned against giving access to your inner world to Islam, not because people are evil, but because most are unconscious. They act from impulse, insecurity, and self-interest. When you stay silent, you stop feeding those impulses. You learn who respects you, and who only tolerated you when you were available. This is why silence feels lonely at first, because you're no longer entertaining distractions. You're no longer explaining yourself. You're no longer chasing connection at the cost of self-respect. But loneliness is temporary. Clarity is permanent. Stoicism teaches that it's better to stand alone with integrity than to be surrounded by people who drain you. A focused man does not fear solitude, he uses it. In silence, you observe patterns. Who only appears when they need something, who disappears when you stop reacting, who respects your boundaries without resistance. That knowledge is power, because once you see clearly, you stop investing blindly. Silence doesn't push people away. It simply stops you from chasing those who were never meant to stay, and the ones who remain those who respect your focus, your discipline, your calm become more valuable than 100 noisy connections. Epictetus said, if you seek friendship, be a friend. But being a friend does not mean sacrificing your peace. Silence teaches balance. Focus teaches standards. So don't fear losing people when you grow quiet. Fear staying loud and surrounded by those who never truly cared, because in the end, silence doesn't leave you empty, it leaves you surrounded by the right ones. Real confidence is quiet. The loudest people in the room are rarely the strongest. They talk too much, explain too much, and react too quickly because inside, they are unsure. Stoicism teaches something uncomfortable, but freeing. Confidence is internal. It doesn't come from praise. It doesn't come from approval. And it certainly doesn't come from winning arguments. When you focus on yourself, you stop outsourcing your self-worth. Most people measure confidence by how others respond to them. A compliment raises them. A criticism destroys them. Their emotional state lives in someone else's hands. The Stoic man refuses this trade. By focusing inward, you build a stable core. You train your body. You sharpen your discipline. You refine your habits. You improve your mind when no one is watching. And because this work is private, the confidence it creates cannot be shaken. Silence protects that process. When you stop announcing your goals, you stop seeking permission to grow. When you stop explaining your decisions, you stop doubting them. When you stop reacting to opinions, you stop absorbing insecurity. Seneca warned that dependence on applause weakens character. If your confidence needs to be validated, it can also be taken away. But when confidence comes from sophistry, no one can touch it. This is why focused men appear calm under pressure. They don't rush to speak. They don't panic when misunderstood. They don't collapse when ignored. They know who they are even when no one else does. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is self-trust. Every time you choose not to react, you reinforce that trust. Every time you focus on improvement instead of explanation, you strengthen your inner foundation. And slowly, something changes. You stop trying to impress. You stop chasing approval. You stop needing to be seen. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words become fewer but sharper. Your confidence becomes felt, not announced. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be satisfied with even the smallest progress, and treat the result of it as no small matter." That progress happens in silence. So if you want unshakable confidence, don't try to appear strong. Become strong quietly, because a man who believes in himself doesn't need to prove it. He simply stands, and that is enough. Most people believe value comes from presence, from being seen, heard, and constantly available. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Value is often felt when something is removed. When you speak less, explain less, and react less, your absence becomes louder than your words ever were. Think about it. When you were always available, always responsive, always emotional, your presence was predictable, and predictable things are taken for granted. But the moment you withdraw, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stay silent, people notice the space you used to fill. This isn't manipulation. This is natural law. Attention creates dependency. Silence breaks it. When you stop providing emotional reactions, others are forced to sit with their own thoughts. They replay conversations. They question assumptions. They feel uncertainty, and uncertainty creates awareness. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He didn't chase loyalty. He lived with principle. Those who respected it stayed. Those who didn't faded away. Silence forces people to confront what they lost, not through drama, but through absence. This is why staying silent feels uncomfortable, because it removes instant feedback. No validation, no reassurance, no reaction. But discomfort is often the price of growth. When you stop filling every gap with words, people begin to fill it with their imagination. And imagination is far more powerful than explanation. A man who is always explaining is easy to dismiss. A man who is silent becomes difficult to ignore. Stoicism isn't about disappearing. It's about reducing noise so presence gains weight. When you focus on yourself, your energy becomes scarce. And scarcity increases value, not artificially, but because you're no longer wasting yourself. People don't miss words. They miss consistency. They miss strength. They miss presence that had substance. And here's the key: when you stay silent, you don't demand to be missed, you allow it. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Silence is embodiment. So if you want to be respected more, valued more, felt more, don't speak louder, withdraw slightly, focus deeply, stay silent, because when your presence is no longer guaranteed, your absence becomes unforgettable. Emotional weakness is not feeling emotions, it is being controlled by them. Most people mistake emotional expression for strength. They believe reacting instantly proves honesty. They believe venting proves courage. In reality, it often proves a lack of control. Stoicism draws a clear line. Feel everything, but be ruled by nothing. When you focus on yourself, you stop letting emotions dictate your behavior. You begin to pause, to observe, to choose, and silence is what makes that pause possible. Every emotional reaction gives others leverage. When someone knows how to provoke you, they control you. A comment can ruin your day. An opinion can shake your confidence. A small trigger can pull you off your path. The Stoics considered this the greatest weakness a man could have. Epictetus said, "If anyone can make you angry, you are their slave." Silence breaks that chain. When you don't react immediately, emotions lose momentum. Anger cools. Fear shrinks. Ego quiets down. What felt urgent becomes manageable. This is not suppression. This is mastery. A focused man doesn't deny emotions. He studies them. He asks, is this useful? Does this deserve my energy? Will reacting improve my life? Most of the time, the answer is no. Silence trains emotional discipline the same way resistance trains muscle. At first, it's uncomfortable. You want to speak. You want to react. You want to defend yourself. But every time you don't, you grow stronger. Over time, something powerful happens. You stop being predictable. You stop being easily triggered. You stop being emotionally accessible to chaos. And that calm becomes intimidating. People expect reactions. When they don't get them, they feel exposed. The game no longer works. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that external events have no power over the mind unless you give it to them. Focus is how you take it back. By focusing inward, you strengthen your emotional center. By staying silent, you protect it. You don't need to prove you become unbothered. And that is real strength. Because a man who controls his emotions cannot be manipulated, rushed, or broken. He moves slowly. He responds deliberately. He remains steady no matter the pressure. That is Stoic power. Asterisk. Explaining yourself to those who refuse to understand is a betrayal to yourself. Many people don't realize it. But constantly justifying your actions is one of the easiest ways to lose self. Every time you feel the need to defend yourself, you're telling the world subconsciously that your peace depends on their approval. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Self-respect comes first. Before validation, before recognition, before applause. When you stay silent, you send a subtle but undeniable message. I know my worth. I don't need your agreement. Silence is dignity in action. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that the opinions of others are beyond his control. Why hand over your peace by trying to influence what they think? Doing so weakens your character and dilutes your presence. Think about it. Every argument you enter, every explanation you give, every reaction you force, it costs you, but it rarely changes anyone's mind. Instead, it exposes your need to be accepted, to be understood, to be right. A Stoic man doesn't operate from that need. He operates from principle. He chooses to act correctly, quietly, and deliberately. He doesn't seek approval. He doesn't beg for understanding. He doesn't rely on applause to feel worthy. Silence, in this sense, becomes the ultimate form of self-respect. It says, I do not lower myself to prove anything to you. I am enough as I am. And here's the most powerful part: when you stop reacting to nonsense, others begin to respect you naturally. Not because you demanded it, but because you refuse to let your energy be wasted. People are drawn to men who value themselves. They are intimidated by those who cannot be manipulated through emotion or opinion. They feel the quiet authority in your presence. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Silence is the action that matches your inner declaration. It protects your peace. It preserves your energy. It elevates your presence. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, criticize you unfairly, or question your choices, pause. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't argue. Respect yourself enough to stay silent. Because the man who refuses to justify himself to fools stands taller than anyone who shouts for recognition. And in silence, self-respect speaks louder than any words ever could. The world is obsessed with visibility, with likes, shares, applause, and recognition. People measure growth by how others see it, not by what it truly is. Stoicism teaches something very different. Real growth happens in silence. Away from the crowd. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his thoughts for fame. Epictetus didn't teach for applause. Their strength was forged in quiet practice, private reflection, and relentless self-discipline. And the truth is, your most powerful transformation happens the same way. When you focus on yourself, you stop performing for others. You stop seeking approval. You stop reacting to noise. Instead, you channel your energy into what actually matters: your body, your mind, your habits, your discipline. This is where the magic happens. No one sees it at first. No one congratulates you. No one notices, but every repetition, every small improvement, every moment of resistance shapes you. Growth is invisible because it is internal, and that invisibility is its strength. Think about it. A tree grows tallest and strongest in the quiet soil, hidden from the world. If it were constantly exposed to distraction, chaos, and external interference, it would bend and break. The same applies to a man. The louder you try to show the world how strong you are, the weaker you actually appear. The more you perform, the more dependent you become on recognition. The more validation you chase, the less power you hold. But when you train silently, discipline consistently, and focus deeply, you become untouchable. Your growth becomes authentic, not performative, not dependent on applause, and eventually, the results speak for themselves. People notice only after the work is done, and by then, the transformation is undeniable. Strength, skill, and confidence are louder than any explanation ever could be. Silence becomes the amplifier of your efforts. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it on meaningless things." Stop wasting your energy on the spotlight. Stop showing the world what you are doing. Stop reacting to noise. Focus on the grind. Focus on the craft. Focus on yourself. And in time, what you have built in silence will be unstoppable. Remember, growth doesn't announce itself. It proves itself. And the world can only witness the power you've quietly created. Asterisk. When you stop speaking, the world begins to reveal itself. Noise blinds. Constant talking, reacting, explaining it all keeps you trapped inside your own emotional responses. You see less, you understand less, you miss patterns, motives, and the truth of people's intentions. Silence changes that. The Stoics valued observation above all else. Marcus Aurelius wrote endlessly, not to impress others, but to sharpen his perception of the world. Epictetus didn't rush to speak. He listened, he observed, he noticed how people acted when they thought no one was paying attention. That's the power of silence. When you speak less, you see more. You notice who is authentic and who is fake. You notice who acts out of ego and who acts from principle. You notice the subtle signs of manipulation, dishonesty, and insecurity. This awareness is power, because once you observe without reacting, you gain clarity. Once you notice patterns, you can anticipate behavior. Once you understand motives, you are no longer controlled by others' actions. Most people spend their lives reacting to insults, criticism, gossip, or pressure. Their energy is drained. Their decisions are clouded. Their minds are enslaved by others. The Stoic man does not act out of impulse. He does not respond emotionally to every trigger. He studies, he waits, he understands, and that patience gives him advantage. Silence allows reflection. Reflection allows understanding. Understanding allows action, but only when it is deliberate, precise, and aligned with your principles. This is why the greatest leaders, thinkers, and strategists rarely speak first. They observe first, they analyze, they calculate, then they act, and their actions carry far more weight than any words ever could. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a training ground, a way to sharpen perception while conserving energy. Every time you resist the urge to react, you grow stronger. Every time you choose observation over explanation, you gain insight. Every time you stay calm in the face of chaos, you reclaim control. The world will continue to try to provoke you. It will test your patience. It will create distractions and false narratives. Asterisk. But the man who has mastered silence is untouchable. He doesn't need to react to prove strength. He doesn't need to speak to assert control. He simply observes, and his understanding makes him formidable. Silence is not absence. It is presence in its most powerful form. Learn to observe, not react. Learn to listen, not respond, and you will see the world with clarity few ever achieve. Asterisk. Life is full of chaos. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will betray your expectations. Opinions will sting. Events will spiral in ways you cannot predict. Most people waste their lives trying to control the uncontrollable. They argue over opinions, plead for understanding, chase outcomes, and react desperately to events outside their power. This is the fastest way to frustration, weakness, and emotional exhaustion. Stoicism teaches something simple but life-changing. Focus only on what you can control. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that the external world has no power over the mind unless you give it. Epictetus said the same. The only things truly yours are your thoughts, your actions, and your character. Everything else belongs to fate. When you focus inward, you reclaim power. When you stay silent, you refuse to give energy to things outside your control. Think about it. You cannot control someone's betrayal. You cannot control someone's opinion of you. You cannot control random events or unfair circumstances. But you can control your response. You can control your habits. You can control your discipline. You can control your focus. This is where true strength lies. The world will always try to provoke you. People will attempt to manipulate your emotions. Life will test your patience. But when you focus on what is in your power, your work, your growth, your mindset, you become untouchable. You stop reacting to every insult, every criticism, every disappointment. You stop losing energy on things that will never serve you. Silence amplifies this effect. By not engaging unnecessarily, you preserve your energy and attention for what truly matters. You spend time building yourself, refining your craft, improving your health, and strengthening your character. Results begin to accumulate quietly. No one notices at first, but eventually, the impact becomes undeniable. Your life changes not because you argued or explained, but because you focused, acted, and mastered yourself. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Focus eliminates imagined suffering. Silence protects against wasted energy. Together, they create clarity, control, and unstoppable growth. So stop worrying about what you cannot change. Stop reacting to the chaos around you. Stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. Instead, focus on what you can control. Strengthen it, protect it, respect it, and watch as life begins to bend, not because you demanded it, but because your inner power became undeniable. Silence and focus, the twin tools of Stoic. Mastery turn weakness into strength, chaos into clarity, and ordinary men into unshakable forces. Asterisk, if you take one lesson from this video, let it be this. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every person deserves your explanation. Not every battle deserves your energy. Focus on yourself. Stay silent, and let the world adjust. The path of silence is not easy. It feels uncomfortable at first. You will question yourself. You will feel the urge to speak, to defend, to react. But that discomfort is the sign of growth, because growth is never loud. Growth happens quietly. Growth happens while others are distracted, reactive, and impatient. Silence is your shield. Focus is your weapon. Together, they allow you to conserve energy, sharpen your mind, and build a life few ever achieve. The world will test you. People will try to provoke you. Life will throw distractions at every step. But the man who masters silence and focuses inward cannot be shaken. He moves with calm purpose. He acts deliberately. He becomes untouchable. Remember Marcus Aurelius' words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Don't waste your life explaining yourself to those who will never understand. Don't spend your energy on noise that doesn't matter. Don't chase validation that will always be temporary. Instead, invest in yourself. Improve your habits, train your mind, strengthen your body, refine your character, and do it quietly. Because one day, the results will speak for themselves. People will notice not because you demanded attention, but because your presence, your strength, and your discipline have become undeniable. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. That is not weakness. That is power under control. That is the Stoic path.